as a professional planner, and I currently am a consultant for myself, and all of the work I do as a paid consultant is outside the neighborhood. So that's one of my own personal rules. Pass it on to Kelly.
So Kelly Davis, I'm a board member and co-chair of the Land Use and Transportation Committee with Tamara.
And previous life, he was an architect.
Yes, so I was an architect for what, 40 some years, and retired in 2017.
Okay, Jeffrey.
So Jeff Gifford, board member, and I also serve on the events committee. I am a budget analyst for University of Portland, and lived in the neighborhood here about 6 years.
Sweet. Zoe.
Hello, I'm Zoe. I moved to this neighborhood last year. I am a copywriter. I wanted to say student for a second, lifelong learner, but now I'm a copywriter. Yeah, I just really care about the people around me, which led me to join the association. I'm a board member. I'm on the land use committee.
Terry.
Yeah, Terry Parker, board member and Transportation and Land Use Committee. I've lived in the neighborhood for 60 plus years.
Great. And we have Jennifer. You want to introduce yourselves?
Yes. I'm Jennifer Santhouse. I am secretary of the board, and I'm trying to figure out all of our tech stuff right now. I'm also on the events committee and communications committee and the advertising coordinator and primary note taker of all things that we seem to be doing. And in my other life, I work for a utility company in the real property, real estate services.
She's a PGEer. And through her volunteer work, we get $200 a year donated. $400 a year donated from PGE.
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
A lot of hours.
A lot of hours. I wish my boss was that generous. Okay, we have a few new faces. Allison, you want to introduce yourself?
Hey everybody, my name is Allison Taylor. We moved to Rose City Park about 5 years ago, about 6 years ago, right before I had my son, who's now 5. I live around the corner from Tamara, and I live with my stepchildren who are Finley. She's 16 and a junior at Grant High School. She's going to be a senior next year. I can't believe it. Zach is an 8th grader at All Saints. He'll be going to Central Catholic in the fall, and we will be budgeting very tightly when that happens. And then Ben's 5, and he's going to go to Rose City Park, and we're going to throw our hat into that Vietnamese program. So I'm really pumped. I'm a teacher at Grant. I was a teacher for a long time at Roosevelt High School in North Portland. And then I had Ben, took some time off, and then this part-time kind of just showed up in my lap, which was really nice. I like to keep my life close, like Zoe, like those around me, and making that as best a place as best as possible for my family, I see as really important. And yeah, I think that's it. So I'm glad to be here. I just, you know what, we got the election or the ballots, and I just thought my husband does Multnomah Democrats, and again, like the neighborhood is just very important. I think it's getting more and more important too as we get different and change and all of that. So,
And for those that don't know, that Allison was voted in as a new board member. Zoe, you had your hand up?
Yeah, I was wondering if we could also say our pronouns. I just think it's like a good habit. I'm trying to build the habit myself. I use she, her, they, them pronouns, but I really don't care what people use.
Same here.
I use she, her. Sorry.
Okay. And we have Stephanie.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Singer, she, and I moved here a little over 3 years ago, moved to Portland a little over 5.5 years ago, and came from Philadelphia, where I was heavily involved in local party politics, and the political power was in the local party committees. And here it seems that the power is in the neighborhood associations. I'm a big believer in people getting together and working together and wielding political power in groups. And that's why when Tamara, I don't know if that's what you wanted when you asked me to think about joining, but that's why I started coming to some meetings, and it's clear that you know, city officials show up when Rose City Park Neighborhood Association asks them to show up, and so that's great. And I'm interested in diversity, equity, and inclusion, and finding ways to make that part of everything we do, because we actually are a diverse neighborhood, even if what we see on this call is not so diverse. And I'm a data scientist. I'm mostly at Portland State University, but also with Verified Voting, which is a national not-for-profit organization.
She's actually a rock star in that field, so we're lucky to have her here.
I'll play my guitar for you later.
Just show them your website, dear. And we have Maro. She's visiting here as part of the diversity committee, I think. Welcome.
Hiya. I'm visiting here as part of the diversity committee. My name is Maro. I use she, her pronouns, or anything that is not he, him. Because people just, you know, they see the O at the end of the name and they just assume I'm a dude, and I am definitely not. I am on the diversity committee, and that's about it. I'm a data nerd, but not a data scientist like Stephanie. Hey, and my dog is on my bed right now. What are you doing? She's not allowed up there. Yeah, that's the things. I do a lot of anti-racism work, and that is how I got involved in the diversity committee.
And she has lots of great resources for information and data and diversity material, and has been very instrumental in getting us going on that committee. So wonderful addition. And we have Joe Anderson, and he is going to be our board intern for as long as he wants to be. And Joe, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Joe. I currently attend Benson High School as a freshman. I've lived in this neighborhood pretty much all my life, and that's about it. Whoops.
And he has 2 nice dogs that he walks near my house, by my house, just about daily. Okay, so Jennifer, how many, do we have a quorum? I can only hope so. We have, if we
have 9 people.
9
Right.
people, and if we vote in the new board members,
Weren't they voted in?
well, actually, I voted in Stephanie with 1 vote, but
Okay.
it was up to her whether or not she really wanted to join.
Okay.
How many votes did we get? How many people voted?
I believe there were 47 that actually voted,
Thank you.
and 44 voted for everyone, and some of them just voted for Allison.
There might have been a text message that was sent out,
Okay, yeah.
an
Well.
email, block.
A block. She came in as a block.
1,
So-
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Well, we have 10 that are regularly on the board.
Okay.
Like we're like as of before. So
I would say we have a majority if we have, if Stephanie wants to join the board.
Yes, I
Okay.
want to join the board.
Okay, so I would like for us to adjust the agenda, and after these welcomes and before we go into the board meeting minutes, to go ahead and vote on adding Stephanie as a board member. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those
Aye.
opposed, same sign. Okay, Stephanie, now you are a board member. Now at this very juncture, I need to take my puppy outside because she is whining very loud. And I want to turn this over to either Jennifer or Kelly. Kelly, can you take over the review of the minutes?
Sure.
Thank you.
But first, we probably need to review and approve the agenda. And she's gone. So I'm in charge.
you're in
So,
charge.
Everybody
Do
got.
you want me to open that? I think I can do this.
Oh, you have so many skills,
Go
Jennifer.
team.
Okay. I think I just accidentally made dinner and my husband went and picked something up. So let's see if we can do this. Screen 1, screen 2, share. Here's the agenda.
Okay, so most people had the opportunity to review the agenda prior. Are there any changes or corrections to the agenda as you see on your screen or as you reviewed previously? Other than what Tamara just did. Okay, hearing none.
Kelly, quick
Yeah,
question.
Terry.
Trying to read it real fast here. I did look at it. I had made a suggestion to Tamara that board members have a bio on our website. I'm looking for it on the agenda, but unless it's between 8:25 and 8:40, I don't. Okay. Thank you for writing it up. I don't see it. I don't know whether you want to discuss it or not, but
Since I'm in charge, I don't think we have to discuss that, Terry. Everybody should have a bio on the website. And I vote that we submit that to Jennifer. So she can then maybe send it on to have it posted on the website. So it's just a paragraph or two about yourself. And if you want some examples of that, you can go to our website and look at some of the board members that have it already posted. Zoe.
For the bios, if it's the board members, then most of us here now are like, okay, well, I'll just write a bio after this. In terms of emailing people, like because like, why would we send an email if we're all here?
Jennifer to post it.
I was
Does Jen do that?
sending to Jennifer, and then Jennifer will send it on to, is it Nate that posts stuff on the website?
It's actually Michelle now.
Oh, okay.
We got a new person, but we'll talk about that later.
Okay. So everybody should post a bio. Okay, we've taken care of that, Terry. Any other
Thank
changes
you.
to the agenda? Okay, hearing none, then do we have to vote on that?
Oh,
No.
yeah, we need to review approve the agenda. I second it. Wait, I
Okay.
move to approve the agenda as amended.
Is there a second?
I'll do it.
Okay, Zoe seconded it. All those in favor say aye
Aye.
I,
or raise your hand. Either one works. Okay, anybody opposed? Hearing none, then we will move on. So the board meeting minutes from the April 6th meeting were written by a gifted note taker. That's Jennifer. So do you want to post or do you want to bring up the minutes?
Here, can you see it?
Beautiful. And I know you've all reviewed these extensively. So any corrections to the minutes? Where's Richard when we need him?
Richard has a conflict today.
I think I saw that.
Yep. So they're all here. Did everybody read them?
Okay. So hearing no corrections to the minutes, because they are written by a gifted note taker, I need a motion to approve the minutes as submitted.
So move.
Okay, a second.
A second.
Okay, all those in favor of approving the minutes, say aye or raise your hand.
I,
Aye.
Okay, all those opposed? Okay, moving right along, Tamara is back and I'm on mute.
Okay. We do have a treasurer's report. I sent that out in the group of documents that was supposed to be received by everyone. Did everyone receive that? Yeah. I see some raised hands or nods. Let's see. I don't know if Jennifer has it available.
What am I looking for?
The treasurer's report. Basically, we are down about $3,000 from the $10,000 we had at the beginning of the year. And we don't have a neighborhood cleanup for which we got donations on a regular basis that then funded our music in the parks. So we are sucking air at this point without any money coming in, except for the small amount. We get like $2,000 from Central Northeast Neighbors on an annual basis. And so what we expend money on is sending out newsletters, which we don't have any going out until the fall at this point. We could do a digital newsletter if we wanted. I don't think there's the energy for that right now because everybody's just getting back from COVID. And we don't have cleanup because there were two things. One is Metro used to waive the tipping fees for the bins that we did get donated or brought to us at a minimal price. And back when Chloe Udaly was in charge of Civic Life, they removed that as an option for neighborhood associations and the funding for that. So we would get a discounted rate for our drop boxes, and then we would have Metro's tipping fee waived, and so then we would end up with the remainder after all expenses to go to our music in the parks. At this point, all we have is the funding that comes in from our community partners, as well as anything we get in the way of advertisement in our newsletter. So that's where we're at. And they're in one of my ideas in the treasury report is we need to establish a fundraising committee to come up with some strategies of how we are going to raise funds as we go into the future. And Richard said we could do this, but he doesn't want to be alone. So I am open to those who are interested in that type of thing and full of ideas. And if you don't raise your hand, I might just appoint somebody. So
So I don't know that I'm full of ideas, but I'm willing to give it a shot.
great.
I have a question. I don't know if there's a way to do this, but is there a way to start an email chain or something? So that like because I do a lot of research for my job, and so a lot of it has to do with finding grants and funding and that type of stuff.
Right.
So like if I found something while I was working, like just an email that I could send it to, or just send it to Stephanie and Richard. I don't know.
That's what I would do.
Okay, that's kind of
You know,
similar.
And
Yeah.
and whether or not they have the time to apply for it and then manage it is all part of the question. So that at least then they could bring it to the next board meeting, or you could.
Okay. Yeah, I can also bring something if I find something.
Right, right. Joe, would
So,
you be
Pam?
interested in helping figure out how to raise money?
Yeah, totally. I'm full of ideas. Yeah, sure.
Kelly, did you say something?
So didn't Sam Adams allude to the fact that the funding for cleanups might be restored later in the summer? Or did I dream that?
I think you're correct.
So that might be one of our fundraising strategies is to bring back the cleanup maybe in the fall rather than in the summer.
That's a great idea.
If we get funding.
I think that would be great. I think there's also different ways in which we can possibly, I've seen on Nextdoor that if people sell items, they can also donate money to nonprofits. And we could put our name in the hat for one of those nonprofits that people could give money to out of what they sell. Just little things like that that would be helpful. Anyway, I've got Steph and Joe, and anyone else interested? Okay, we're gonna go with that for now, and but let's all take, put it in your noggin that we all need to be thinking about how can we work to make more money for the neighborhood association so we can continue getting newsletters out and things like that. It's pretty important. Okay.
So Tamara, my assumption is that if the funds aren't available, then we would discontinue the concerts in the park if we didn't have the resources to do that. Right?
Yep, I think that's a great idea.
Well, not.
That's
not
an
great,
assumption. I think we haven't brought it up at this point. What do others think? Terry?
Are we talking about this year or future years?
Future
Next
years.
year.
Okay.
What do you think, Terry?
Well, I think we ought to at least wait out the summer and see. I mean, I don't have a problem with doing that. If we don't have the resources to do it, we don't have the resources to do it. But right now, I mean, the state's supposed to open up in a month or so, and things are changing. So let's, I think, September, maybe we ought to start really having a discussion about it.
Hey, did you guys get something?
Okay, so why don't we, with that, is it okay if we just postpone that decision until the fall and go with that? we'll know more information then. But I think that's a strategy that we should consider.
I have a comment.
Yes, please.
So if we are even considering that,
Mhm.
we may want to take advantage of the concerts this summer to let people know as a way of trolling for, possibly trolling for donations, not, I mean, it could be an out and out ask, or it could just be, this is on the table because of what happened. It's a chance to inform the people who care about the concerts, and they care because they're there.
Right.
And maybe to bring them in either to help or to donate.
That sounds good to me.
Good idea. Excellent. Strategy. I love it. All right. I got it down. Sure, our Jennifer has it down too. I try to take down hot topics like that. Terry, would you be willing to give us a summary of the LUTOP activity from Central Northeast Neighbors?
Yeah, I can do that. I wasn't prepared to do it, but I can certainly do it. We had April out at the last LUTOP meeting to discuss Rose Lane on Sandy, and unfortunately, it was more like the meeting that we had in terms of we didn't get to really discuss what's happening on both sides of our neighborhood, which basically Sandy will be down to one lane in each direction in some areas. That was what was the other item that we discussed? Just trigger my. There was two items on the agenda.
I just remember Rose Lane.
Because you were there as well.
Yeah.
I mean, we had a pretty healthy discussion, a discussion about Alameda again and making it one way and some of the problems that it might have. It seemed like there was another item that was on the agenda. I said if you'd told me in advance, I'd have gone back and looked. But
okay, that's okay. I think the other thing was DOZA. And
yes.
That's the design overlay zoning application or something.
You are correct. It was,
yeah.
and it was similar to the presentation that we had.
Right.
And yes, it was DOZA, and I think that people were very aware that we wanted to try to keep our main streets. That was kind of the impression that I got.
Right. And I think, the end product was that there needed to be some more time to review the
right
amendments that were just thrown in, and we don't have a chance for the different neighborhood associations to review it in a timely way before this Thursday. So
and we've got an agenda of the projects. LUTOP has an agenda of the various projects that are coming up. They're going to try to have a monthly meeting with some of the other things, the bike projects, the whatnot, so that we'll probably be picking off two for each one. I don't know what the next one's going to be for the meeting this month, if we have one, but that's what we're trying to do. We made a list of all the projects that are happening, at least transportation wise and, development wise in the neighborhood. And we're going to be trying to discuss those at the meetings.
And just to let you know, for the group, you can glaze over. DOZA is going to be talked about further with one of the letters that the Land Use and Transportation is proposing to forward to the City Council. And the other one is the Rose Lane project is actually the city is proposing to paint rose-colored lanes for bus only at certain intersections. And so that would either allow vehicles to go through with the buses or force those right-hand turns onto residential or onto the adjacent street at certain intersections.
Oh.
What is happening at Alameda is they are closing the eastbound lane at 57th coming from the north. And so they're trying to limit the amount of time used by the light at that point. So it helps facilitate the traffic on both 22nd, excuse me, on Sandy as well as 57th. Yes, Stephanie, Jennifer.
Can you please define Lutop and DOZA for the other people that are not in the Land Use and Transportation Committee?
Development Overlay Zone application for DOZA. And LUTOP is Land Use and Transportation Committee of
And open
CNN.
space.
Yeah. And DOZA, by the way, comes up before the city council Thursday at 2:00.
Yes.
And for clarification, this was at the CNN meeting that you were
The
discussing? or something
CNN
else?
Transportation and Land Use Committee, which they call LUTOP.
Yeah, there's two different groups. There's the Central Northeast Neighbors Board, and we have representative is Don Levine. And then we have the Central Northeast Neighbors Land Use and Transportation Committee. And that used to be Ed Gorman and Terry. And at this point, I've stepped in since Ed resigned from the board.
Thank you.
And I'm still a member.
Yeah.
Still a rep.
And Don is not with us. He's actually up in Skagit County. He did submit a LUTOP summary. LUTOP, the board summary. And you were showing that, Jennifer, briefly. That also was in the committee packet of material. The summary of that, in my mind, is that the board decided to request the city council a 120-day set over on DOZA to allow the neighborhoods to go ahead and review those amendments. And this also identifies the funding for the CNN for the 2021-22 budget.
Which I believe is a 5% reduction over last year or last fiscal year. Fiscal year.
I like.
Yeah.
Fiscal year. Okay. So I'm not going to go through this step by step. You can read it on your own time. If you're interested in the overall budgeting, this is important material for you to look at. I would encourage you to check that out. And also, there are some grants that are being proposed. So we have small grant funding of 20,000. And let's see, resilience resolution grant of 5,000, I believe. 6,000.
And Tamara,
Yes.
A question to you. I saw an invitation for a Zoom meeting late of planning about DOZA and what the neighborhoods were going to do, or what with Heather. Can you kind of give us a synopsis on that?
She is asking for those of us who have testimony to sign up for the upcoming meeting on Thursday. And so all I've got is the testimony that came forward through the Land Use and Transportation Committee.
Okay.
And again, I applaud the idea of giving us an extension so we have some idea. We can bring these proposed amendments back to the Land Use Committee and talk about it.
I thought this was for a planning meeting that you were going to meet with one of the commissioners or the mayor or somebody.
Well, we have met with a couple of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah. Anyway, all I can say is what the Land Use Committee has approved, because I'm the spokesperson for the neighborhood. So you can speak on as an individual, but you have to identify yourself as an individual. And all I can do is parrot what they approve. Okay, so we're at the board elections results, and we already stepped into that. The next steps is to not only welcome you, but also applaud you and say, I will be glad to meet with you over an hour of Zoom. And those who have not taken advantage of that, meaning Jeff, and I know Stephanie hasn't yet, and Joe hasn't yet. I can talk you through a number of things and get your ideas of what you want to do and accomplish in your 1 year serving on the board. We have lots of opportunity. We also have a fairly thin thickness of help. We spread ourselves very thin on this board, and I put in way too much time trying to hold things together. And I would love to offload some of all of this to those that are interested in taking the lead on some of this work. There are a number of folks that I think Heidi is interested and Zoe's interested in homelessness as an issue, and what can be done and what we can do as a neighborhood to help. So that is one of the areas that we've gone ahead and coupled that into the safety committee. Well, we also have a whining dog. That's Abby. And we have the land use committee. We have events, which is the music in the parks coming up, as well as our neighborhood general membership meetings, possibly national nights out this fall, and maybe, hopefully, our cleanup this fall. We also have our communications committee, and what else? I think that's it for now. We also have, we had a Rose City Park playground project. And I think that's pretty much on the skids at this point, because the people behind it have run out of options of raising money. Or anyway, they have to tell you about that. I'm going to bring them at the next meeting so they can tell you all about that. But there's a lot of opportunity. And if you come up with an idea that you say really needs to happen, like I did with the community garden, I did that back in 2008 when everybody was needing gardens. And I ended up leading that group, got neighbors together, and we pulled together a community garden down at Fraser. So there's opportunities. Let me see if I can get someone to take this puppy out.
She sounds just like my puppy.
Let's see, help. All right, I sent a flag up stairs. Say help. Okay, we have our a retreat that we took place in March. And at that retreat, we had a whole list of items that each of the committees was going to take on. And then talk those topics through with their committees, and then come back with a list of goals and objectives of how they want to implement their purpose for the neighborhood. And at this point, I haven't received anything back from anyone. But today and tonight would be the time of doing that presentation. What I can do is show you what I've got. Get to the right screen. All right. We've got results. We've got media. Let's see. Jennifer, do you happen to have the PowerPoint from our retreat? Is that no?
One moment, please.
Okay. Okay, if you could share my screen or allow me to.
Do you want me to just share it?
Yeah, if you could share.
Can you see it?
Yes. There it is.
This one?
Yeah, we went through a sticky exercise, sticky point exercise, and looking at our strengths, what we could do better, and the new challenges, and trying to come up with a better sense of who we are, what we do, and where we're going or need to go. And so if you could scroll down to, okay, yeah, what we need to do is to continue the blue stuff. If you could step it back up. Community outreach, our duty to inform, concerts and events, support the neighborhood coalition, reducing pollution and create a healthy environment, and a welcome, feel comfortable in the neighborhood. Now that's really a nebulous thing, and I think we need to be conscious of who's saying that and making sure that we make it welcoming feel for everyone. Okay, so then the next one, I can't scroll down, is to improve on building resiliency. And I think, I'm not sure what that means. Everyone has an idea. It's kind of like sustainability. What is resiliency? Promote engagement from the neighborhood, reaching out to others, organizations, engagement projects, whatever that might be. So this gives you a list of what people think are where we need to improve. And I think one of these is addressing community safety concerns, which I think fits into the safety committee bailiwick. And then the last one is what we are hoping to aspire to. Acknowledge a racist history for Oregon, for Portland, for our neighborhood. Help create block parties so people get to know each other and form alliances as far as dealing with emergencies. Let's say emergency preparedness. If there's going to be a fire this season, how will we formulate some response to that as at a neighborhood level? And the best way is for neighborhood block parties to get together and plan what they can do in their immediate area to work together. Promote help for alternative transportation, safe passages to school, support homeless neighbors, and supporting our schools. These kind of stretch outside what we normally do, which is supporting our schools. But again, this is something to reach towards. Then we took these and put them into different groups for those groups to take on and work to create activities and priorities for those groups and come back to the board with, okay, this is our purpose. These are things that we're doing, and this is what we're planning to do better as far as goals. And what came up for the board, you can roll it down, is board responsibilities. And it's kind of interesting because it reads almost like procedures. You know, what we are supposed to do is assign and approve general membership meetings, and then evaluate. And so I was hoping to, you know, with this retreat to get goals and objectives out of it. But I ended up taking this and then looking at our bylaws and saying, okay, what is it we're supposed to actually be doing? And then from that, then hopefully cull out some objectives of how to get there. And if I can share my screen.
I don't think you can.
Okay. Host is disabled participant sharing.
Yeah.
Let's try it
It's not
again.
intentional. Oh wait, let's see if we can. Advanced sharing options. Who can share? It does say that. It does say that all participants can share, but
Jennifer,
okay.
do you have something labeled security on the bottom of your screen next to participants?
Jennifer, I just changed that from the screen share to multiple participants.
oh, so now try.
Okay. So I ended up creating some draft board goals, and I did so actually using the language that came out of this retreat as well as out of our bylaws, because it talks about creating neighborhood livability. The question is livability for whom? And so it also talks about neighborhood expanding on communication and liaison person with the other neighbors, with elected officials. And so whoever we have on the CNN board and who we have on LUTOP, and then also whoever we send forward with letters of recommendation, which is me, we need to make sure that communication is there and solid and representing the neighborhood needs and wishes. There's also the conservation and improvement of character. And so that also can be loaded language as far as conserving it for whom, improving it for whom, and character. And character is such a big, broad word. And oftentimes that meant, you know, let's conserve it, the land for the white privileged class. So I think we need to help quantify what is meant by these terms. And these are directly out of the bylaws. And then livability for ordinance and policies that benefit the neighborhood, and then other issues affecting livability. So again, our primary goal is to support livability. And we have to be very conscious as the privileged white landed class, for most of us, in how we do that, because we don't have as good representation from our BIPOC community on the board. But this is just my first take at trying to create some goals for the board, and then provide open process, provide forums for exchange of concerns and ideas between neighbors in a non-hostile environment, promote fundraising and maintain fiscal responsibility as a nonprofit, keep bylaws updated. Let's see if I can get this to move down. Oh, it went way down. Sorry about that. Keep bylaws updated, including, which they haven't been updated for necessarily diversity, nor technology, because we had these elections on Zoom and using our Survey Monkey. And then we don't really have a set of procedures for each committee. It needs to happen. Then we evaluate issues for scope and responsibility, generate ideas for the programs, and then recruit board members representative of the neighborhood demographics. So that's my take on trying to create some goals out of the work that we did, as well as out of the bylaws. And so I'm going to just count this as a draft for folks to have. I'm going to send this out to each one of you, and you can give me your thoughts on it at our next meeting. How about that? I'm hoping this is broad enough, and it gives a scaffolding for us to go ahead and then work with our committees that will be bringing things forward to help us determine what is, you know, livability for ordinance and policies and things like that. Okay. And I just assume no one else, none of the other committees have actually done their work, because I never received a report from communications or events or land use. So I am good in not sharing anymore on this.
Wow, Kelly, that's a great rainbow. But yeah, I don't, land use, I don't, yeah, you are correct.
Okay.
Tamara, the communications committee did discuss, did go through and discuss some of this. We didn't formally write it up, but we definitely reviewed it.
Okay. Oh, Allison's got a new member of the board. Look.
Do you want to say your name?
Hello.
Are you Zach?
No.
Are you Finley?
No.
Oh, you're Benjamin. How old are you?
5 years old.
5 years old. En español?
5.
Ah,
Say
beautiful.
buenas noches.
Buenas noches.
Buenas noches. Bueno. Okay, so Jennifer, you said that your committee communications talked about it. Did you come up with any material for us to review?
No.
Okay. The diversity committee also discussed it, but we didn't come up with any information to review. So I promise on behalf of the diversity committee, we'll come up with something in the near future. Because I'm on that committee. Okay, let's discuss the highlights, follow up on opportunities from the general membership meeting. We are running behind here by 10 minutes, but that's okay. I think it was nice that Sam Adams offered the idea of us participating in the cleanup on June 25th and 26th. That's actually what Solve is doing. And that's a nice idea, but it really doesn't get to necessarily a neighborhood cleanup. So we can, I'm not sure what we want to do as a neighborhood to help promote advertisement of or information about that event. There's also the Adopt a Block idea that's out there. It is not the neighbor, it's not promoted by the city, even though they said that he mentioned that it's brought up by an individual in the community that introduced that and is championing that whole idea. And that's where people adopt a block to clean up, and they provide the pickup material, the resources, the bags, and also will make sure that the trash that you pick up gets disposed of. It's a great idea. So that is out there. And
Sorry, Tamara,
Uh,
the city provides the materials? You said they provide. Who provides the?
it's,
the
they
trash
call
bags and
themselves
stuff?
Adopt a Block.
So it's
it's
just an organization that,
Just
okay,
an,
thank
just an
you.
organization. There's one gentleman that started it, and he's just got a number of folks, organizations that are donating things, and he's facilitating it, and it's going quite well. From what I understand, the only problem is right now is ODOT does not allow the pickup of material and adoption of areas that are in their right of way. And so you have a lot of the camps that happen to be in ODOT right of way. So that's somewhat problematic.
That was true with the railroad too.
Yeah, that is true.
And just for the record, I heard on the news tonight that, or maybe it was last night, that ODOT's going to be doing a lot of graffiti cleanup along the Portland freeways here pretty quick.
Well, that would be lovely. Unfortunately, that doesn't include the embankment that we get to see coming off I-84 going westbound, which is just a whole mess coming at like 62nd. And that embankment that comes down to the railroad, that's railroad land. And so if they don't allow people to get on their property to clean that up, it's just a big dumping ground.
What they didn't say, and I'm wondering if they're going to do it, is a lot of the signage. There's graffiti on the overhead signage and stuff like that. And they didn't mention that at all. They said they weren't going to close the freeway. So I don't know, close off lanes. So I don't know what exactly they're going to do, but.
Yeah. And someone is saying because of insurance. Okay. I don't doubt it. Oh, and by the way, the Oregon Food Bank fundraiser that we started raised $1,605. So it's a good amount, and I think we ought to pat ourselves on the back for getting that out there. And I will send a note to Susanna Morgan and let her know that we were happy to help out. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and close down that account unless we want to keep it open. It's a fundraiser, and I put $1,500 as the goal amount, and we surpassed that. But we haven't gotten any more money coming in the last 4 days. So it's up to the board whether or not you want to keep it open, whether we want to add a different goal. I can always change the goal amount. What's the pleasure of the board?
I would suggest that we close it, but remember that it worked and think about, doing it again, either for Oregon Food Bank or some other, keep in mind that it worked. And wouldn't be bad to do it every once in a while just for Oregon Food Bank.
Yeah, I agree. So do I hear a second for that or other discussion items?
I second it.
Okay, a second. Okay, a motion and second it to close it down with the idea to remember that it worked and that we could do it again, either for the food bank or some other organization that is in need. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed, same sign. Okay. Good going, folks. Okay, any other items you want to talk about with the general membership meeting? Other than the fact that we didn't get the information on the website, so no one could actually attend the meeting? That was
There were
that.
12 people. 12 people attended.
Yeah, we got 12 people on it. And part of that was because I put things on Nextdoor and said, hey, come on, join us. So unfortunately, our webmaster was out of town for like 4 days. And so we didn't get our information put up on the web.
He was actually out for like 2 weeks.
2 weeks, sorry. You know, it's 2 weeks. Okay. Meg is not with us, so we don't have an update on the first call crematorium. So at this point, I'd like to go ahead and move on to the diversity committee recommendations. Unless anyone has any other questions, concerns on first call that I can't really respond to because I don't know what's going on there. Okay. Draft acknowledgement statement and draft neighborhood agreements. Let's see if I've got those in my cache here.
Did you want me to share that?
Yeah.
Hold on 1 second.
I tried to get all of them here, but I don't have. Sorry for being so klutzy here. Okay, this is the land acknowledgement statement that we've pulled together. And at our last diversity committee meeting, we decided that this draft can be forwarded on to you as members. Could you enlarge it so we can actually read it? Maybe even the entire page. There we go.
It can either be zoomed in or you can read the entire page. Which would you prefer?
How about we start here and then we can roll it down. Okay, this is adapted from the Portland Metro Habitat for Humanity land acknowledgement and including whatever that is. And including,
that's my notes that I have to keep moving from screen to screen because I have to keep sharing. So I apologize.
That's okay. It's just like, ooh, UFO. This includes information from Confederated Tribes of the Grand Ronde, Portland Monthly, and Oregon Live. It is recommended to be read aloud at the beginning of all public meetings. So it reads, the Rose City Park neighborhood was platted in 1907, the year of the first Rose Festival. The neighborhood was designed as a true community, providing accommodation to a wide range of incomes and people. Many of the major roads were native trails. Sandy Boulevard, which bisects the neighborhood from the southwest quadrant to the northwest quadrant, connected Chinook villages from the Sandy River and the Columbia River to the Willamette. As a neighborhood, we acknowledge the land we occupy and its original inhabitants, including the Multnomah, Wasco, Cowlitz, Cathlamet, Clackamas bands of Chinook, Tualatin, Kalapua, Malala, and other tribes who made their homes along the Columbia River. Currently united as the Confederated Tribes of the Grand Ronde, the community includes over 30 tribes and bands from Western Oregon, Northern California, and Southwest Washington. We acknowledge that this land was seized through coercion, dishonesty, and brutality. We acknowledge the violent history of the Euro-American settlement that sought to extinguish indigenous life from this land. We recognize the enduring influence of that history in our region and the nearly 70,000 Native peoples descended from the over 380 tribes living here today. This land serves all people of different races, ethnic, and national backgrounds. We intend to honor the sacrifices of the Native peoples by committing ourselves to community, justice, and equity. We pay respect to the Native peoples of this land, past and present, offer gratitude to the rivers and forests that nourish our communities, and acknowledge our collective duty as stewards of this land. Now, there's more information there that can be either read aloud or not. but it gives you further information if you want to delve into it on your own. Yes,
Deborah?
Terry? Yeah,
Going back to the first part of it there
yeah.
that you have underlined, I'd like to see somehow the Rose City Park neighborhood was platted in 1907, the first year of the Rose Festival. The neighborhood was designed to be a true community. Now, either replace those words, true community, or add the words as a village and a park, because that's the way the neighborhood was advertised, as a village in a park.
Okay.
I'd like to see that in there.
A village in a park.
A village, yeah, a village in a park. If you go to McCoyle's book, I know you're familiar with that, you will find it.
Okay.
And that's why the setbacks were 15 feet from the street, et cetera, for most of the neighborhood. And I just think it's important to keep that little piece of history.
I like that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mauro, do you have anything to add?
Not really. I'm happy to answer questions. The text that's not bold and underlined is the text that we pulled from the Habitat for Humanity version, which has been vetted by NAYA, I think it's Native American Youth Association. Yeah.
So that is the information that is not highlighted and underlined, correct?
Yeah, the other stuff comes from a variety of other sources, which is what is listed at the top.
Got it. Stephanie,
And
you had
then-
your hand up?
Yes.
on mute.
So first of all, I wanted to just thank the diversity committee for putting this together. It's really nice. Either, now, or maybe if it's appropriate next time we look at this, I think it would be lovely to include the older names for the Columbia River and the Willamette River. That would be a lovely touch, in my opinion.
Yes, that is a very, very good call. Thank you.
Okay, we could either put them in quotes or as a slash. What do you think?
I would say to actually make them primary,
Okay.
and then put in parentheses, now called the Columbia River. I just looked this up in Wikipedia for the Columbia, and I can look up the Willamette River too.
Have you ever used Oregon Geographic Names and Places? That's a very good resource to written by a publication by the Oregon Historical Society, and it's in its, I think, 4th or 5th or version. I mean, it's been changed over the years. It's been updated, but I have used that in the past when I'm writing something about history. I've written a number of trip guides for excursions out of the area here, and that was my best resource.
Could you say again what
Oregon Geographic Names and Places.
Yeah, we can also take a look. My spouse did the layout for a book called Native Place Names. I can't remember, but it was for I think it was for the salmon. He used to work for Eco Trust, and he worked on all of the different projects during the time that he was there. And I think it was the Salmon People Project.
Okay.
That did an Indigenous place names atlas that is incredible. So we could take
I would love to see that.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Me too.
Okay. So as a working draft, what are other thoughts here? I would like to start using this as soon as possible for our meetings. Once we feel comfortable with it. Zoe?
I guess a little part with the similar language that Terry was talking about with a true community. I would say that language is a little vague just because true community for who? And like if that's what it says in the Rose City Park like drafts and things, then leaving it in makes sense. But true community, you know, for who? Wide range of incomes and people. Is that what we do now? Is that what it was always intended to be? You know.
That was what it was always intended to be. That line I think came from, I think it was either the Portland Monthly or the Oregon Live site, article that I was looking at. And I think it came wholly created like that. But I can take a look. I think I have the
Okay.
link down at the bottom. So I'll look for it.
Cool.
Tamara, do you remember the name of McCoyle's book? Do you
Of
remember
whose?
the name of McCoyle's book? It's about Portland, and there is some stuff in there about Rose City Park. I remember it. I've got it at home someplace, but it described Rose City Park as more of a working class neighborhood versus Lorhurst that was more of an upper class neighborhood. And they kind of came in about the same time. But it had a lot of more detailed history from the time Rose City Park was platted on. But that's where I got the village as a village in a park, because that's the way it was advertised, and that's the reason the homes were all set back and things like that.
Yeah, and Rose City Park is actually a number of different plats of different subdivisions.
You are
So
correct.
it
Mhm.
was not envisioned as, you know, we now know it by the bounds of 47th and 65th and
Your
Fremont.
tax statement will say that. Mine says Lonsdale.
Yeah, so there's and this almost talks about it as if it was all one neighborhood plat, which it wasn't. So I think in general it was seen as a way to a place to get away from the city, much like Mount Tabor was. That you could go by streetcar to get out into the country a bit and be around a big park, which was actually first race course and then a car racing track, and then it became Rose City Park.
Well, the golf course was the racetrack. The park was never part of the racetrack. Racetrack came right up to the edge of the park.
Yeah.
If you stand behind the school, you can see the dip of where the oval was.
Yeah.
Between there and 72nd, you can actually see the oval if you look for it.
So anyway, I will take this back to the diversity committee and make some changes and bring it back. And would love to get this adopted as soon as possible. Okay, so if we're good with this as a draft to go back, I guess we can just do it without a vote. We don't really need a vote. I guess we could take a vote based on these changes to the language. What do you think?
I mean, we could take a vote just to basically to say, yes, diversity committee, please do go back and you know, make these smaller changes, but let's start using it as it is. Is that a reasonable? Oh, chair, is that a reasonable thing to propose? Because then we can start actually saying something, which is nice, while still, you know,
It's a work in progress.
it's a work in progress.
What do you think about that, Mara? Sound good? Okay, Zoe? Sound good?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay.
Working document.
Anyone else?
It says in the beginning that you're going to read this at the beginning of all of our meetings.
Yep, all
Is that
public
the
meetings.
case? The whole thing.
All the way down to where it says the rest can be read aloud. But yeah,
Okay.
okay, so we have a vote, a motion on the floor of saying good work, diversity committee. We want these some additional changes, but we'd like to go ahead and proceed in being able to read aloud what we have already, as doctored up here by Jennifer. Do we
I'd
have a
second
second?
that.
Okay. Have a motion, a second by Jeff. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay. Then we have the draft neighborhood agreements. Can pull that puppy up. Okay, based on the community agreements done for DD White Labor Collective and agreement principles from the Historic Albina Advisory Board, it's recommended that we use this in all Rose City Park activities, including but not limited to meetings, email, and publications. It's a matter of bringing about awareness in our speech and our actions. First is take collective and an individual ownership. So we own our mistakes and our successes collectively and individually. And we own any harm we cause collectively and individually, historically or recently. Center, prioritize. This is where the most marginal voices who happen to be in a meeting that are being maybe drowned out by a majority get pulled forward and brought forward as the first in line to speak. So also understanding who is not in the room as we're making decisions. Assume the best intentions and bring best intentions. So we're here with common goals for betterment of the neighborhood and community, acknowledge where our privilege falls in line with power, structures, race, gender, wealth, and understand how our intentions and impact can be affected by those structures. Okay, next down. Ouch, oops. Briefly state an ouch for harm, say, oh, sorry, using the wrong pronoun, and oops, an apology for a swift reply and moving on. So if you call a him or her or him, I think you need to own it up and then be able to move on. Take space, make space. And this is participate while allowing others to participate. Maybe I got this mixed up with the other one. Bring your whole self to the conversation. Your truth has value. So I think it's real easy for those who are quiet by nature to not feel comfortable in group settings. And so I do try to call on people to make sure that everyone has a voice, but any assistance on that is certainly welcome. Listen for understanding and remain respectfully engaged. Don't just wait for the next opportunity to speak. Try to understand another perspective and position. So it's easy to get our thoughts going and try to get information out without necessarily pulling in information at the same time. So I think I for one can just rattle on and then forget that I'm supposed to stop and say, what does everybody else think? So deal with issues and not people. So attacking the problem and not a person. Be willing to experience discomfort. Understand that no one is owed comfort in a difficult conversation. We owe each other respect, dignity, but accept that anti-racist decision-making can be uncomfortable. And no quick fix. Expect and accept lack of closure and continued work. So this is the best we could cobble together as guidance. I am open to questions, concerns, changes.
I have a
Stephanie?
comment here. Oh.
Yeah.
somebody
Terry,
else.
what?
I don't know exactly how to express it, but I'm a little bit concerned that actually I have a couple of concerns. One is that people are going to be seen as an oppressor here.
That
And
what?
I don't believe in that. I don't think we should be saying you're the oppressionist person and you're the victim. And I'm a little bit concerned that that's what this is a little bit trying to deal with. The other concern is that sometimes marginalized voices might be the voices that are actually not necessarily always marginalized. And the best way I can explain that is I can give you an example with PBOT, where the people that drive don't have a voice at all on PBOT committees. And so they're not heard. And so in a sense, they're the people that aren't, they're the voices that, well, anyway, I don't want to get into it, but so I've got those two concerns that I don't want to see that happen when you have somebody that comes in that may be speaking for a majority, but they're the minority in the room, and or somebody being viewed as being an oppressor.
I think that at least to have just quick that when it says attack the problem, not the person, I think that covers what you're talking about in terms of people being called oppressors. So like, it's not attacking any one individual if you're saying, oh, like white people are historically oppressors. Like that's not attacking an individual.
Well, I take it personal when somebody says that. So, and other people do too.
I'm sorry, say again, Terry, you tend to do what?
I tend to take something like that personal when you group us all together. White people are oppressors. I take that personal because I don't feel that I am. And,
Yeah,
Do you believe in oppression? Like, do you think that oppression is part of our history and part of our...
It is part of the history, but it doesn't necessarily what's happening in the room today. That's what I'm getting at.
So
and
Terry,
yet,
sorry, continue.
And yet you seem to keep people keep referring back to that. Well, they're the oppressors, so that they're, I mean, yes, I grew up in a community that was mostly white. Today I have lots of neighbors that are Asian. We get along great. We do things for each other. But I mean, it bothers me when you start talking about a group as an oppressor or a group as a victim, because not everybody in that group fits that mold.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I don't see that in this document though. Where do you see the characterization of a group as an oppressor in this document?
Well, when I read it the first time, it kind of popped out at me, and I mean,
I think that if that's in there, then it's well worth our trouble to find another way to say what it's saying without saying that, because I think it's really important not to be labeling any individual or particular group as these are the oppressors. But it seemed, I mean, when I read this, it seems it's going to the fundamentals. And it's actually not attacking any one particular. I mean,
Well-
maybe it feels that way because of the context and the way things get discussed outside of this room, but I would be sorry to have that context stop us from the kind of respectful way of being that this is outlining.
Well, I think it popped out with what she just, or what was just highlighted here. Acknowledge where our privilege falls in line with power structures, race, gender. It seemed like that was kind of I viewed that as a little bit of an attack.
That people have privilege?
No, that you're identifying the people that have privilege.
They do have privilege.
Yeah. It is a fact that white people have privilege over non-white folks, that men have privilege over women, that those of us that hold property have privilege over those who don't. Like all of these are ways in which we hold privilege. What's that?
I say we also have the privilege of paying taxes.
I mean, honestly, it is a
Yeah.
privilege. Like what we.
I don't know. That just bothers me because it seems like everywhere you go now, we're people are saying, well, you're privileged, or you're et cetera, and I feel like I've worked for everything that I have. I don't feel that was a privilege.
Jennifer?
Oh boy, we really.
I will say, one, there is a lot of good information and books around privilege and kind of explaining that as a concept, and it's a really tricky concept, and so it's important to explore that. I actually think this does a really great job of not singling out just white privilege, but kind of putting out all the variety of privileges that are out there, because it does come in a lot of form. And I think the easiest way, Carrie, to think about privilege, at least, or one of the ways that I think about it is my life more difficult because? And so you have a privilege if your life is not more difficult because you are white, because you are female or male, if you are a landowner. Like my life is not more difficult because I own property. No, it's actually easier. That's privilege. And so that I thought was really helpful, but I actually know a couple of books and I'm happy to kind of share those resources. I love this. So I think the diversity committee did a really good job. Thank you.
Yeah, this is Jeff. I just add, I think this is a great, this is a nice approach, and it's well laid out. So I'd like to thank the committee for their work on this.
Thank you. Thank you, Mara. We haven't heard from Kelly.
So what the intention here is just to review this at various times during our different meetings that the association has.
Yeah, and it also could be, like with 12-step programs, we could pass it around and have people read parts of it as a way of just breaking the ice at the beginning of meetings. So everybody has a chance to say a few words about it, and just so it's in the air and front and center of our minds as we open up meeting discussions.
Yeah,
Okay.
the groups that I'm in, we read the community agreements at the beginning of every meeting or event, just to remind folks that, like, this is how we are coming to this space. And sometimes we do them quickly and just read the, kind of the bold, not the explanations. And sometimes we spend a little bit more time and really dive in and like ask people, like, can you give an example? Can you talk about this a little bit? Just so that it is staying fresh and people are really understanding it, not as just words, but as the concepts that they're meant to be.
Allison, we haven't heard from you.
Love it. Love everything about it. We do something like this, very similar to this at Grant. And again, on what the person before just said, it just centers the work and it reminds us of the place that is us now, and just giving space to that. And then I think the agreements are again very rooted in either courageous conversations, which we do a lot at in Portland Public Schools, or just standard strong norms.
Joe, what do you think?
Well, I think that I like it. I don't have any big ideas or oppositions to it, and I think it's on the right track. Pretty good.
Okay, great. And there's someone here named Kate G. Are you there? And would you like to say a few words?
Hey, I'm just trying to learn more about what all is being thought of for the neighborhood as far as these equity types of issues. And so I appreciate all the work and I'm just absorbing it, but I don't have anything in particular to contribute. So thank you for all the work.
Okay, thank you. Okay, do I have a motion to accept these as this as a document for our?
I'll motion.
Okay. Zoe motioned. Who wants to second?
Zoe, do you want to just state your motion, what you're moving here, so I can write it down?
I am moving to accept these. The word is not in my brain right
Agreements?
now. But thank you. The agreement for Rose City Park Neighborhood Association to carry out in future meetings, to abide by, or yeah.
So are we going to read them aloud, or is there a recommendation to read them aloud, or are we just going to have them? You care?
I think reading them aloud is also a good way to go, and to break off and discuss, like if we're having a particular meeting and then like assume best intentions, bring best intentions comes up particularly, and we spend more time talking about that. I feel like that could be a good intro to our meetings.
Okay, before we go on, Stephanie, you had a point of discussion?
Yeah, that we may want to, just pick one or two before each particular meeting to read out. If we're reading out loud, it's a little long.
Okay.
I think the bolds aren't long.
Yeah, they could be read without the descriptions, and that would be a lot shorter. And then just have the descriptions available for folks to read.
Okay. Okay. And so we've got a clarification of the motion. And does someone want to second that that's on the board?
I'll second it.
Okay, motion and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Okay, there we go.
I'm sorry, point of who seconded it? I can't see you, so
Stephanie.
Thank you. The motion was clarified and seconded by Stephanie?
Motion was clarified by Zoe, who made the motion, and seconded by Stephanie.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, we are running low on time. It's 8:35 and we're behind on our agenda here. So we have a couple items. I don't know if folks have actually read through the recommended letter by the Neighborhood Association on DOZA. And we had Heather Flint Chato come and give us a presentation, and she is the lead behind Main Street, Portland Main Streets. And what DOZA is proposing is identifying areas throughout the city that would have design overlay to them. And they started out at 75 feet, and then they got a little bit lower and went down to 55 feet. And what ended up being missed out on is the opportunity to actually comply with the comprehensive plan, which talks about certain Main Street areas that are actually trolley era structures that have a pattern to them. It's a top, middle, and bottom type format that has been said in the comprehensive plan to have design review. And there was concern whether or not this would be affordable. Is it taking away some use of existing buildings? And there was ping-ponging back and forth, but basically this is saying, okay, let's go ahead with some language to include Main Street plan overlay for certain areas that actually have been identified by Portland's own Vintage Main Street study. And that would include a small bit of what's in our neighborhood at 52nd and Sandy, because there's some vintage buildings right in that area that include the bike gallery and that Keystone property at Sacramento. And the idea would be lowering the threshold to 45 feet because those are not supposed to be very tall in that area, and then have certain design templates that they could choose from. And one is like stacking, making sure the windows stack above one another. Those are common affordable practices as well. So I think they're trying to winnow it down to figure out how to do that language correctly. And this was the first iteration, and now they're a little bit further on the process. But I submitted this on behalf of the Neighborhood Association, on behalf of the Land Use and Transportation Committee, because we didn't have any timeline yet for the final review, and we wanted to get it in there. So I'm looking for the board to support what the Land Use Committee went ahead and drafted here.
So I move that the board support the letter that Tamara has written.
I'll
I
second it.
second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 All
Aye.
those opposed? Same sign. Okay. And I was asked at their last land use and committee meeting to write a letter to the Bureau of Development Services regarding what's called the Society RCP, which is a micro unit apartment complex that is located at 1435 Northeast 62nd, right on Halsey. They came to us initially and said, we're going to be putting in 3 units. And so we thought, oh, it's going to be a triplex, not a problem. And it's actually on commercial land, and they have decided in the development to put 9 bedrooms per unit per floor and 1 kitchen. So each unit has a bathroom, and they all share 1 kitchen at the end of the floor. And that's considered 1 unit. So we want clarification of their definition of what a unit is from the city, and to let them know that we were highly confused by this and thought we should have more information than what was provided. So if you're okay with me going ahead and asking, sending this letter, that's my recommendation.
So move.
Yeah.
All those in favor, say aye.
I
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Thank you.
Can you unshare the screen?
I'm sorry, too many
Can you
voices.
unshare the screen? Yeah, there you go.
There we go.
Well, I can see who's talking.
Yes. Okay, so we are down to 8:42 minutes. And we've got a lot of things to go on. I am going to skip the historic monument comment. That was someone that brought that up. I think it's worthy of talking about, and let's talk about that at another time. But I'd like to move on to any updates that we haven't covered that are burning. We do have events committee with music in the parks. That's going to be very important. And we need volunteers. And what do you have, Kelly? Do you have anything new and different?
No, I outlined all the new things at the general meeting. So that was just a couple of weeks ago. So I think we're good.
Okay. Communications? Jennifer, anything?
I am really struggling to figure out where I can put my notes and this meeting so that I can look at stuff. Okay, events and communications. So for communications, there was some reference on the minute or on the agenda about a summer newsletter. We do not have the content nor the energy to create a summer newsletter. That is a lot of work. So, and there's no significant driving action that really kind of pushes the need for that. However, we would like to announce that we have engaged with a new member. Her name is Michelle Healy. She has volunteered to assist us with our website design and poster design, and as well as posting to the website. And we will do some press release type activities on the website, Nextdoor, Facebook, Nextdoor, Facebook, website. Oh, and listserv about the concerts. So that is the intention, will be to drive some more visits to the website. It's been very low over the last 6 to 8 months, like not even a quarter of what we had in 2019. And so we are looking to do that. We are also thinking about making physical posters to advertise that event. So there are those things. And then the other thing that we are going to do is to, well, just 1 second, Joe, and I'll grab you, is to create a calendar or schedule for posting. So for those events that are planned, so all of our committee, board, general meetings, we would like to post those 1 to 2 weeks in advance with scheduled updates to go out by social media and listservs. So we will publish that schedule out to the board next month. I have it, but it's back-to-back meeting nights, so I don't have it ready for this meeting. And we will try to drive more traffic that way, kind of by doing a bunch of outreach. And the other thing, for the events committee. Oh wait, did you have something, Joe, for communications?
Yeah. So I have some experience with like websites and design and stuff. I'd like to help if you'd have me.
Yes, you can join our committee.
Okay,
I
thanks.
signed you up. Yes, sir. Kelly.
So can I have contact information for Michelle, and can you introduce her to the people that will giving her stuff to post?
Yes, I will do that. Her contact information is actually already in the directory that I circulated because I put her information on the
Okay.
directory before she officially joined us. But we will do that. We're also going to be doing some organizing of the Google Drive that folks have access to. So we want to make sure that the committee chairs can actually send or access, what they need to make sure the files get posted. But right now, if you want something posted and I'll put a notice out to the board list. If you want something posted to the website, you'll email that to, I think it's like webmaster at RCPNA, and attach it with some direction as to schedule, or, if it goes in a certain section.
Also, if you'd like to give me a press release, I can put it out in Nextdoor.
Press release.
I don't know if you want, or just let me go ahead and blast what I do, which I put things out there. I didn't know if you want, because
for the concerts or for
concerts.
Something else. Oh, we can do that, or I have access to the neighborhood association's Nextdoor account. Who knew we had one? I found it last night.
I didn't know that. So
yeah, we have like 3 friends. It's cool.
So it might be picked up better if I put it out. I don't know.
No, I mean, you don't have friends on Nextdoor. You actually just send it out to your whole neighborhood. But yeah, so I actually, we figured out some of the passwords and some other things, and like we've gotten some things changed over. So that's been a little adventure. We are working with Hollywood Neighborhood Association because we co-host the concerts with them. And so Richard is coordinating with Joe from Hollywood Neighborhood Association to see what publicity activities they've undertaken already too, because they, it's a joint activity. So we will have some of that. And Joe, if you really want to take over social media, that's kind of where we really need the support. And then the other thing that I wanted to kind of put out there is I think it would be easiest for us to have a calendar that we all have access to. And I would like to send out all of the meeting invites to your Outlook accounts. Allison and Stephanie, we can help you create board Outlook accounts. And Joe, board Outlook accounts. I mean, they're free. We just give you like, here is your configuration. So we can do that for you. And then we'll put you on the list. And so we'll get all circulated there. For the events, the city has said that we do not have to take the COVID tracking precautions that they had originally laid out, which was basically we needed everybody's name, phone number, and address so that we could contact trace. And so we don't have to do that at this point. So that is awesome. And we're coordinating on the stage because Linda is going to store that for us. And
we don't have a 28-foot long flatbed trailer.
We do not have the flatbed trailer. And we are working on the pop-up tents and porta potty reservations as we speak.
But we will need help on the days of the event, setting things up, starting around 2:00 in the afternoon.
Yes,
so,
and we will put a call out for some volunteers. We had a quasi discussion before the communications meeting. Sorry, Jeff. But we need to do a little bit more formulating. And then Allison or Stephanie or anybody or Joe, if you're interested in communications or events committee, or as I like to think them as the umbrella social committees, let me know and I will. happily
Stephanie's not an
engage you.
events person. Mm-mm. No.
You could be on the backside, with like printing stuff out and setting up stages.
I would love to be involved in other ways than having to do with events.
No pressure. So, but you can reach out to me. And I think those are our updates, kind of a lot of things going on, and you will see a lot of stuff about the concerts in the next month or so. And the concerts are scheduled for the last 2 Saturdays in July. Yeah, that's it.
Yes, so that's July 24th and 31st. Coming up quick, you think about it. Also, while we're sort of on the subject, I want to make sure that we get updated board rosters for all the new members, so everybody has a chance to get everybody's phone number and address and information. And as we're talking about communications also, I'd like for everyone to have a brief bio that we can put on to the website with a picture, if possible. Yes.
We talked about that while you were taking the dog out.
Okay, yay.
On the bios.
Good, good.
And where are we supposed to send those, or how do we get those to you?
You can send them to communications@rcpna.org, please.
One point of order also that I forgot is we need to make sure everyone signs a conflict of interest form. And those are recorded or kept at Central Northeast Neighbors are by the executive director. So if anyone has concerns about our points of view or who we stand for, we have it disclosed, who we work for, all this other stuff on that conflict of interest form. So I will be sending that out to everyone. Yes.
Thank you.
I don't know where that came from.
That's from my husband. They're playing board games.
Yay! All right, love it. There was one more item from the diversity committee that I will share. Let's see. And share screen. Where is it? Oh, Race Talks. Okay, we did get word from Race Talks that they don't have an opportunity to come and give us a personal tutorial on race. And we talked about this as in our retreat, that we do need to have some formal workshops, both for the neighborhood board as well as the neighborhood at large. Currently, they have a general neighborhood meeting as far as a discussion, and you pay as you go. But on hold until the fall are the mini trainings that you would have to pay for, which I think we should be able to. But I think, this is something we need to invest in. And so this could be up to 3 hours, up to 15 people. There's also customized small group coaching for you and your team. And the one that I like the most is track 3, which is intensive packages for organizations who are ready to shift your policies and practices and outcomes.
I like that one too.
So the thing is that we need to probably get on their schedule sooner than later if we're going to get in there for the fall. I'd like to get some direction. We've got prices on the other 2, but we don't have any prices on the last one.
Doesn't the city offer some things like this? They did at one time, I thought.
I thought they had some available for free, but
What I was
actually
getting at.
what they're doing is basically community discussions.
I think that what the city offers maybe won't be like as specific. So like with the plan 3 that you mentioned, it seems like it would be very specific to Rose City Park and really help us like as a group and as individuals, be better activists, be more aware about our race and our privilege and things like that. And it would also allow space for all of us to express like what we're concerned about and like where we're at. And yeah, I think that's a good option.
Why don't I come back to the group at the next meeting with more information about track 3, and then we can make a decision at that point. Sound good, folks?
Sounds good.
All right. All right. Anything else? Any good for the good of the order here? I've got to figure out how to stop sharing. I don't know how to do that. Ah, help. Help.
Look at the bottom of your screen where you push the icon. You clicked on the icon to share your screen.
Yeah.
You see a red box?
Oh, I see it way up there. It's on the top of the screen.
Mm.
Thank you. Still learning. Okay. Anything else in good of the order here? We got 2 minutes.
Last, I guess, just like when upcoming meetings are for new members, so they can be like, oh, I'm interested in this committee. When is the next meeting?
Okay, the land use committee meets on the 3rd Thursday of the month. So this is the 2nd Tuesday. So 3rd Thursday will, when is that, Kelly?
That is June 15th.
17th?
The 15th.
Oh, on Tuesday or on Thursday?
Oh, wait, that's July. Sorry.
I think it's the 17th.
Yes, the 17th.
So that's the next one coming up. Communications, you meet on the first Monday of the month or something like that?
Yeah. We met yesterday.
Okay. All right.
And once I've requested everybody's contact information, this actually is all on the directory, so I can send this out. So general meetings are the 4th Tuesday of January, March, May, and October. Board meetings are the 1st Tuesday of the month without a general meeting. Land use and transportation is on here. Communications events are not regularly scheduled. That's on here. And net is the 2nd Wednesday of every month. Oh, diversity. I don't have your schedule on this.
We're on the 2nd Tuesday of the month. We actually landed on the same day that the diversity committee should have been meeting tonight.
Okay. Thank you
Oh.
for adjusting for this meeting.
So Tamara,
Invited them.
have we thought about when we would start in-person meetings?
I've put a word up to Margie at the German American Society to see when they're opening. I have not heard anything back, so I am waiting. I think I'm excited for us to meet in person again too.
Me too.
Yeah, it would be good. I will let you know as soon as I know, and we do have an email group that is to the board on Outlook. So we will, we send out emails on that. It's official and it's recorded. So we try to keep it as professional as possible, and then take the personal conversations off screen. But that way we can get in touch with each other about getting together and having Zoom meetings and introducing people like the new members to different resources that we have on the website.
So I assume, Tamara, that our meetings at Early Head Start for the land use and transportation wouldn't start until maybe July.
I'll check with them. I'm so focused on the board right now. Yeah, they probably will be open in July, but because classes are now closing down for the summer.
And communications meets at basics? Did I dream that?
They don't have the classrooms anymore.
We have been meeting on Zoom and we have not established an in-person.
Yeah, Basics rearranged their markets to include that space as part of the grocery area.
Tamara, I've got to go. My battery's running down. So
Okay, well, it is 9:02. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I move.
second.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Have
Thank
a
you,
great night.
everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good work. Appreciate it.
Nice to meet
Bye.
everybody. Thank you.
Welcome.
Peace all.
Thank you, Steph.